Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Jenny White.
How are you?
Well, good. It's entertaining watching you dance. Do you have that music? Maybe that music needs to just be kind of your theme song in the background everywhere you go.
I do like that music. I don't know why, but I like it. It's very, I don't know. It's great. I like that music. So, sad news. Senator Inhofe died.
Yeah.
That was pretty sad news. And I was telling you earlier, this is so crazy. So the Wall Street Journal this morning puts out an article about the death of Jen Inhofe. And so the title of the article is Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe, climate denier, dead at 89.
Yeah.
Really, Wall Street Journal? Honestly, the Oklahoma Voice says former U.S. Senator Jim Inhofe, a passionate advocate for Oklahoma, dies at 89. Which one do we like better?
I don't know. That climate denier is pretty gripping.
Just like, oh my word.
They're going to paint you. They're going to paint you with a brush no matter what happens to you.
No, and I think you're completely 100% right about that. But it's just absolutely, completely annoying. Jim Inhofe, climate denier. Who puts that on? I mean, how dumb. We all deny. I think we're all denying climate change. It's just the 6 people at the top who are trying to get all our property that love it. I mean,
the best thing they did, Jenny, was they changed it to climate change from global warming.
That
was the smartest. I mean, the climate's always changing. So, I mean, yeah, if you say the climate's not changing, then you're crazy.
Well, and then, when they started with the global warming thing, they were having to explain how they were getting so much snow in so many areas. Oh, because it was global freezing. Remember, it was global freezing before it was global warming. Yeah. They just don't count on us. I guess that's why they want to kill us before we get old, because then if we're old, we can actually say, see, I remember when you said it was something else. So I cry BS on that.
Well, all that stuff's effective though, because I remember like when I was a kid, I was so scared of acid rain. Do you remember the whole late 1980s?
Oh my gosh!
Rain, complex they were putting out everywhere because of the climate and all the pollution and all the ozone, the hole in the ozone. Oh my God! I mean, I was all the time. Every time it was raining, I was like, "Mom, we can't be outside. We can't be driving. We got to be inside."
Oh no, that's so sad. I guess it's just like me that I was like, whatever. You know what I did this morning? So I got up and let the dogs out this morning and went to go let the dogs in and realized that they had a tangle with the skunk this morning.
Oh no, the worst.
So I got up, I wasted a bunch of calories on the treadmill. Then I wasted a bunch of calories washing dogs. And then I wasted a bunch of calories getting up the last little bits and pieces of the spring stuff from the garden. So I'm happy to just be sitting here right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting. Yeah. I'm excited about the Batts being on.
Exactly.
So anything going on with finance that you want to gripe about this morning? Because I always like to hit you up on that first thing.
No, not to gripe about, but I do want everybody to just really think about and realize, you know, we have put on the last 3 presidents. Yeah, this includes Trump. I mean, they have each more than doubled the debt, you know, in the last 3 presidencies, which is insane. But there again, you know, we can't live. This country does not operate unless we have massive, massive, massive amounts of money put into it every single day. It's literally unbelievable that we just allow that to happen.
Well, at this point, honestly, I don't even know what we're going to do.
No, it's out of control. I mean, we're at that level, Jenny, to where if 35 trillion isn't enough, then what is? I mean, we're literally at that point to where, you know, money doesn't even matter to the government, and these big banks are just massively in control of everything we do.
Yeah. I the only thing to do is to do what we're doing, which is, you know, raising awareness about it and, you know, trying to get out the information. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's about all but I mean, that's what we're all about, right? Is getting out information, raising awareness, because people can't fight what they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Good morning, BEK 682.
Yeah. Well, and you know, President Trump was highly against cryptocurrency in his first administration. He has completely done a 180 and completely endorsed it. And I think oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, again, you know more about that than me, so I defer to you. I defer because I don't know.
Well, it's a very sad deal. It's
what
sad
is
deal, but
cryptocurrency is sad?
No, the state of our financial awareness in this country.
Well, in the state of our schools. I mean, we had a Facebook post brought to our attention the other day. I mean, do you want to say where it was? It's a public post.
Yeah, Sequoia Middle School.
Sequoia Middle School putting
in Edmond. Sequoia Middle School in Edmond, which is my son's middle school.
And it's a middle school.
Yeah. They decided to do teacher highlights this summer, which they've never really done in the past. So they just put out a picture of one of the teachers getting married, a male teacher getting married to another male, and it's such a joyous occasion. And they're posting that from the Sequoia Middle School Facebook page to all the parents, to all the kids, wishing the gentleman, you know, the greatest life ever, which is, in my opinion, complete indoctrination. There's no need to celebrate any of that, whether it's any marriage. I mean, we don't need to celebrate a teacher's marriage, whether they're straight or gay or whatever. Let's celebrate, you know, maybe let's look back. And I had a bunch of people text me and comment, you know, how about we celebrate? Why don't we highlight where they went to school, what they got their degree in, what they love about education? Not that they're going to Disney World, you know, for this or that, because, you know, when you look at all the kids that don't have those kind of opportunities, looking at their teachers doing all this stuff, you know, and I mean, how inclusive is that? You know, let's just use their own language back to them. You know, is that inclusive when you're sitting there posting all this crazy stuff on these teachers?
Well, let me ask you this question.
It's inappropriate in every means, in my opinion. There's just no need for that.
Let me ask you this question. When you were a kid, did you ever know squat about your teacher? I mean, did you really know anything about your teacher?
No. And that's another thing. Like I was just telling you that another one of my son's coaches was making such a big deal about his personal life, his wife, how he's getting divorced. He was always saying, oh, your boy's getting ready to get divorced. He's going to be right there with you guys. I mean, it was so ridiculous. And my son was like, what is going on? Why is this guy keep talking about all this stuff and all these other girlfriends and all these affairs and all this stuff? I mean, it's just immoral.
Well, but again, we used to have a barrier between personal. Teachers were professional. It used to be that they were professional. How would you like it if you went to your doctor and your doctor told you that stuff?
Yeah.
How would you feel if you were sitting in your dentist chair? He's got his hands all up in your mouth and he's going, yeah, I just got married to my boyfriend the other day. And I mean, do what you want. I don't care.
Yeah,
I've said it 100 million times, but you don't need to pull me in on it. You don't need to tell me about it. You don't need to get up all in my business with it. You be professional. You be you and you stay you. You be professional and then do what you want outside of school or MDing or DOing or whatever it is that you do. This is just ridiculous. Nobody needs to know about the life of a professional.
Yeah, I agree.
Nobody.
I agree.
All right. Before we get even more out in the weeds, we have our friends on this morning, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I will always have a fond place in my heart for Kevin and Janelle Batts. Always. I mean, there are just so many things I could tell you about them, but they just have a place in my heart and always will. And love them so much. I mean, you talk about people who are professional and quality people. These people in school could learn something from the Batts. These are professional people who are quality people. And it's just, I mean, I'll stand up and say that every day of the week because I know it. It's factual, actual. So they have a new movie that's coming out, and how about if we bring them in and we talk about their new movie?
Yeah.
All right. Because don't forget.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Batts are award-winning document. I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Award-winning documentarists in Oklahoma.
We try. We do our absolute best.
Well, you're honestly phenomenal. I mean, you're phenomenal. And I just am so happy. So tell us about this movie.
Well, it kind of started, as you guys know, we were on here last time talking about saving Clayton. Mm-hmm. And in the background, we had been working on this project about detransitioners. And I really began to, mind you, before we started this project, I really started to dig into, I guess, the kind of the backstory of a lot of detransitioners. Mind you, I started kind of digging into the lives of people who had detransitioned who were not from Oklahoma. I had no knowledge of anyone in Oklahoma that was a detransitioner. And so I kind of just started to follow the lives of those that I could on YouTube. Lots and lots of detransitioners are taking to platforms like YouTube to really process and really kind of figure themselves out and tell their story of what's happened to them. So and that's kind of where it started.
Did you go to Walt Heyer?
I love Walt Heyer. Yes. I know. Amazing testimony, especially because of how far back that he was living this life. I mean, I think everyone thinks that this is like a new reality. It's not. Transgenderism has been around for a very, very long time. There are people that have been living this life for many, many years. I think we have seen an uptick in the last decade of transgenderism because I believe my personal opinion is that it's been highly politicized, has been weaponized.
Uh-oh. Is it me or them?
Michael?
Hold on. We lost you for just a second there. Okay, so go back to it's been highly politicized.
It's been highly politicized, especially amongst children. Yeah. And so one of the things that I started to do is look into the lives of people who were in the process of detransitioning. I was probably following close to, 20 to 30 different people. Wow. And I was just amazed at what I saw. Mind you, I think we can have a political we kind of have a political stance on things. We can have a political mindset towards issues in society. But I think when you start to get down into, as you said, Jenny, down to the weeds of it, it really begins to change your perspective and give you an idea of what these people are actually going through, how painful a journey this is, how awful and dark it is. And that's what I state even in the documentary, is that I had, the intelligence and knowledge and wisdom to know what was happening. I knew all the political points. I knew all the things, right? But I didn't understand, I think, what was really kind of underneath it all. I didn't understand the dark side of it. I really didn't understand that. And so when I started researching these people, when I say research, a lot of it was just listening to these people talk. You know what I mean? Like listening to them talk on a Saturday afternoon, and they're in so much pain. They're, highly depressed. They're suicidal. They're angry, and they're going through this process all in a very public way. And it really, I think, changed me forever, of knowing what this actually looks like. And so then I had this idea of, well, there has to be these types of stories right here in Oklahoma. And you'd be surprised at how many people in Oklahoma would say things like, there's no stories like that here. We don't have that kind of stuff here in Oklahoma. We've talked before, Michael and Jenny, we have talked before about how people think that this is like a super red state, and they kind of deny that we have very serious problems that are going on in education and government, all these different parts of society that's happening right here in Oklahoma. We are not immune. And so I began to dig into what those stories looked like. And what I found looked exactly like what we see across the entire nation. Those stories were here, and they were not stories that just took place in the last 2 years or 3 years. As you guys know, Laura Perry, she was doing this as far back as 2008. Mm-hmm. And this was all happening in small little pockets of Oklahoma. It was not, in these huge metro areas per se, but it was in small areas where people probably had no idea what they were encountering, had no idea what they were about to walk into. And so that's why we made it. And we hope that it's going to open the eyes of Oklahoma, which is kind of, I guess, what we do now. Yeah. I don't know. I guess what we do now is trying to open the eyes of people in Oklahoma to say, this is in your backyard. Yeah. This didn't just show up. It's always been there. It's always been right around us. How can we help? How can we uplift their stories? How can we bring attention to what is happening in our schools, what is happening in business, what is happening across all the different demographics of our society in Oklahoma? So, yeah.
So let's do this, because let's give us a jumping off point. So can you show us a trailer for the movie?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I think it would be great to see. And I should probably say I've seen most of the movie myself. Because there's so much, while you're getting that up there's so much more going on. They left. Michael, you're big.
Hey, there we go. I'm big time.
I think what ended up happening was he was trying to figure out how to get that on and then cut them off. Yeah. So they're going to have to come back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, it's surprising, because think of how many times we talked with Kevin and Janelle about people they say they do the red state thing like this. It's kind of like, we're a red state. I'm not listening.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right, you're back.
Yeah, just.
There they are.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We lost you for a second. All right. So let's, do you have it up? Maybe.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'm getting it right now. It closed on us.
We know that's the problem with technology. It's always the double-edged sword thing. On one hand, it's great. On the other hand, it will screw you up during live podcasts.
Sounds about right. That's my entire relationship with technology so far.
Exactly what happens all the time.
Okay.
Okay, there
All right.
it is.
Oh, and they can go to TRANS.Oklahomamovie.com and see all of this too. So that's another thing to point out.
Okay,
all right,
there it is.
I got it. Uh-oh, volume. I think it's the volume on your end.
Well, there's a lot of times there's a little button you have to click, or a little box that comes up that says share the audio on.
Oh, really?
On what like when you go to present, it asks you if you want to share the audio of that.
Oh.
I don't know. You may just have to bring it up, or I may just have to bring. Is this just on the website?
Yeah.
No, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube?
I thought it was on.
Yeah. It's piped to the website. Here it is. It's in the private chat.
Okay. Ding! There it is in private chat.
Permissions.
All right. Okay. I can hear it. So I'm going to share my screen and bring it in, and we will go from there.
All right. You got it, Jenny?
I got it. All righty.
And so
there it is.
Did,
and I'm going to back it up. No, thank you. Whatever it is that they want. They always want something.
My name is Laura Perry Smaltz, and I'm from Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I currently live in Mustang, Oklahoma, and I'm a detransitioner. I was called tomboy, and I was told I was too rough.
What the heck?
This or that. And I didn't play the same way with the girls, and so it was very traumatic.
Screen audio.
We can hear the audio. We can hear the audio.
You can't hear the audio?
I hear it.
Yeah, I hear it.
Well, how weird. How come I don't hear it? What is going on? Why is this being a problem child? Can you guys hear it?
But then with each step, it still wasn't.
Wondering if anybody else can hear it.
Away, and it wasn't making it real. And I remember thinking, like, at what point does this become real? Because I thought it would be more real by now. And everybody around me began to believe it. I had a new job where I was only known as male. No one knew I was trans. And I thought that would bring freedom. But actually that began to torment me because now I had to hide everything. Everybody around me believed I was a male. I had to reinvent my entire life. And I remember one night, I kind of threw myself on the floor. I was so desperate for God. I was like, God, I want everything you have for me. What do you want from me? And God asked me a question. He said, if you stood before me tonight, what name would I call? I said, God, that's not fair. I had heard the Lord calling me Laura in my prayers, and I didn't like it. I wanted to just erase that and move on. But the Lord reminded me of John chapter 1, where it says Jesus Christ himself is the creator. And he said, you can't claim to love me and yet reject my creation. And I thought God was saying, you're not good enough. You've screwed this up. But that's not what he was saying at all. He said, in the most loving voice I've ever heard, I remember the way he spoke to me with such gentleness. And he said, let me tell you who you are. And I remember feeling like there was something greater that God had for me, something greater I'd been created for.
All right. So, wow, powerful. So what kind of response have you been getting from this movie?
Well, it's been mixed. Of course, we've had amazing support across Oklahoma with this film. Obviously, we knew that we would probably get pushback on this film in particular, from not only from the LGBT community, but just, I think leftists in general.
Okay, but hold on a second. Let's explore that just a second, because that does kind of, I wonder if there are other people out there like me that doesn't make any sense for. Why would people who are in the LGBTQ community, why would they be aggravated over that?
Well, I think that a consistent trend that we have watched happen over the past, probably, I'd say 4 to 5 years, is that anyone that decides to either leave the LGBT community or to speak out about what they have seen and their experiences within the LGBT community, are treated quite harsh. And that's been a big part of it, especially detransitioners. I mean, we're seeing this across the entire nation. You're seeing it in the UK as well, places like, Australia, places like, France. I mean, there are transgender people all over the world, and you're watching this trend where the minute that their stories begin to pop up, they are very, very quickly silenced. And from what we can tell, there's a fringe group of every single part of society, right? There's always going to be that group that sits at the top. They're often elevated the most, given the biggest platforms. They are made to look like that they are the voice of that group of people, when in reality, underneath, it's like there's generally a larger population of people in that group that don't agree. And so we've seen this with the LGBT community, where it's like there's this fringe group at the top that's like, okay, we don't want to hear from anyone. If you oppose any of our beliefs, if you oppose anything that I believe, we don't want to hear from you. And we've seen that happen with this. But unfortunately, there's, it's like these voices are needing to be heard because they're telling some pretty horrific stories, within the LGBT community. And it's not just trans people. It's people that identify as gay and bi and trans. It's all throughout. And I'm telling you, there are people leaving the LGBT community in droves at this point. Mind you, they may still be gay, they may still be bi, they may still have their sexuality and struggling with that, but they're still leaving because they say that they have figured out they are a part of a group that has absolute control, absolute mind control.
Wait. Oh my gosh. So you're saying that a group of people who preaches tolerance above all are simply not tolerant at all?
Absolutely. I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Isn't it?
We've been waiting for the tolerance and the love is love group to come out, and we have gotten nothing but just like absolute viciousness at this point.
So let's talk about that for a second. So I've been a little bit involved with the movie because I'm a big supporter of it, because I'm a big supporter of you guys. Just, love everything you do. So we were all set to have a premiere. My husband was actually going to leave the house and come to this.
Pretty big right there.
It was a big deal in the White House. And then I get a text message from you saying it's off. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? So I want to hear you tell the story publicly, because I was very cross about that.
Well, you want to tell her what happened?
Oh, no, you tell the story really good.
He likes for me to talk the whole time.
Yeah.
So we were scheduled to have a premiere at Rodeo Cinema. Mind you, I had looked at other areas to possibly have a premiere that same week. Now, I can't say that we wouldn't have had the exact same experience with some of the other theaters that we looked at. However, we never got that far with some of the others because they didn't really work for what we were looking for. They were much larger than what I was looking for. I wanted something that was a little bit more quiet, a little bit more intimate, something that we could bring in our participants, their family members, just more of a smaller place where we could kind of watch the film together. And that's why we chose Rodeo Cinema. And it was perfect for that. And anybody who has been to Rodeo Cinema, it is very quintessential Oklahoma. It kind of is like a picture of, I guess, what Oklahoma kind of looks like inside. We thought that it fit perfectly for this. And we went and we, sought out information about it. We ended up meeting the people there at the location. And I had some very specific questions for them. My very first question for them was, does anyone need to see the film? Does anyone need to screen it? Mind you, we did the same thing with Saving Clayton. We ask theaters before we ask if you are a pastor, if you are if you have an organization, if you have a theater, it doesn't matter who you are. We always ask, do you need to see the film? We'll send it to you. It's not a problem. We asked them that. They said no. I went on to say, this could be maybe controversial to some people. Is that going to be a problem for us later? And he was a testament to this. He was standing right there. And I was very upfront. And I said, I don't want there to be a problem later on where we plan this and then it gets sabotaged because someone gets personal feelings about something, someone that works here. I have no idea, but I don't want to run into that.
You covered all your bases.
I know it's fine. There shouldn't be any problems. We have people that come here and do all kinds of things. We're not really allowed, she said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was along the lines of, we're not really allowed to kind of project our own personal feelings or beliefs on a project or a film or whatever we are, going to be allowing to be hosted here. That's what she said.
Well, and part of that was, correct me if I'm wrong, they get grants or something, right?
Well, they're a nonprofit, so
they're
not supposed to be engaged in certain kind of politics.
Yes.
Okay.
So taking stances. So essentially, they just exist as a place where people can show their movie, and
people hold music events there. I mean, they have all kinds of things that they do there. And mind you, we wanted people to recognize that it's like, Rodeo Cinema was not promoting what we were doing. They're not allowed to do that. You could not go to their website and buy a ticket. There was no movie poster anywhere. This was a private event that we were paying for. You know what I mean? I mean, they literally sent us an invoice just hours before they canceled. And so it ended up, going in that direction, which was a complete 360 from what we were told, obviously. But we were told just 2 days later, mind you, we had only posted it publicly on social media. Gabe Woolley and my sister, Nicole Clayton, both worked with us on this film, this particular project. And they were also sharing it too. We all shared it on our platforms, on social media, that we were going to be having this premiere on, at Rodeo Cinema. We posted it online, and then I think it was up 2 days tops. And we get the invoice from Rodeo Cinema. And then pretty much that same day, later that day, we get, I had a voicemail and I also had an email basically stating that we have had to cancel your premiere due to backlash from customers, sponsors, and employees. That it was so great that they could not move forward. But there was a little bit of an accusation, I felt, in that, because they made the statement of, well, had we known the contents of your film, we wouldn't.
They didn't.
They did. And I remember I was very polite, and I did send a response back, even though I knew it, it wasn't going to do anything to change the situation. I understood that, like, okay, although what they're doing is not illegal, it's still wrong and it's still discriminatory. And so I did reach back out and I said, I just want to correct a few things. And I went back over my conversation with them of what we said while I was there. And I also stated, I said, I'm not really sure what you've been told. I think that they thought this film has been out for people to see and that we were just now having a premiere. And I said, no one has actually seen the film. So how do you know what's in the film? What are you being told? And of course we got no response on that. Yeah. However, I do find it interesting that, again, the LGBT community, I think, kind of has this, they really pride themselves on not only, you know, really sending the message of inclusivity and, you know, diversity and all these different things, and love is love and tolerance and all these different things. But I'm telling you, I don't think that the LGBT community understands that it doesn't make them look the way that they think that they want to look. It doesn't make you seem like a person who is tolerant or with a strong mind. You look like you are so terrified of anyone's opinion that goes against your own, which in my opinion doesn't resemble the mindset of a person who is strong. It resembles the mindset of someone who is emotionally and possibly mentally unstable, that you are so afraid of someone else's opinion. Mind you, we are inundated every single day of the week with the LGBT community. We're not foaming at the mouth. We're not running around trying to figure out where people live and doxing them and doing all these various things. We have been forced to kind of live in this world that we live in now. And yet I tell people all the time, I'm like, we are no one in Oklahoma. We are no one in Oklahoma who's made a film that no one has seen, and it has produced this strong of an emotion, you know, in opposition of a film that no one has seen. And so it was a clear indication to me that we were right on the mark, and that we're going to hit the target with this film, and that people are going to be encouraged. They're going to feel hope. They're going to hopefully, you know, see the light in some things in their lives, but we're hoping that it's going to draw out other detransitioners as well. It will draw out parents that have struggled with this and not known what to do. And so, you know, as irritating as it was helpful to us, you know, at the same time, to let us know that we're doing the right thing. We're going in the right direction, but also sending a message to other people that this is what it looks like in your red state, where we're now being told, keep your bigotry, as one commenter said, keep your bigotry out of our cinemas. And that's a message to all of us, not just Red River Media.
Well, let me just say something that I thought was so interesting, because I lost respect for the Rainbow Alphabet crowd a long time ago. I mean, you can't do these kinds of things and literally have any respect, because you look like a child. Because if a child is doing something wrong and you tell a child not to do what they're doing when they know it's wrong, they'll have a fit. I mean, and so they look like children who know they're doing something wrong, and they literally can't stand any kind of discussion on it, because they could lose the argument. Basically, they would have to say, well, I don't know, maybe I can't justify why I'm doing this other than it just feels good.
Yeah.
And the other day on one of Gabe Woolley's posts, because I love doing this kind of thing, because I get so tired of people spewing emotion and not using their noggin, because there's a brain in there and it will function. We just have to make it function. And so one of the commenters was, I just will not watch anything that is just this hate filled. And so I said, number one, have you seen the movie? And, you know, there's a, well, it's just hate filled. Explain to me what is hate filled about it. Well, they can't do it. I mean, there's nothing that they can say. They have no way of coming back and explaining to you what is hateful about it. So, you know, they just run away or get even madder at you about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you right now, if people can't explain to you reasonably and respectfully what's happening, I'm done with it. And I think we all just need to wash our hands and go away, Rainbow Alphabet people. I'm sick of having to play your tune. I'm just tired of it. Because I don't care what you do, but now you're affecting me, and now you're affecting other people, and stop it.
Yeah.
Because they want the whole world to bend around them.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think that cancellation for you guys is actual validation that it's not something that's just, you know, out there, you know, it's no big deal. There is real purpose behind the message that you're trying to say in that show. And that's why, I mean, it's almost a badge of honor, you know, to be canceled like that, because you are striking a chord that is real, that is happening, that really, really matters, because there's no way they do, go to the lengths they go to bully you, and that's what it is. I mean, ultimately they're always the biggest bullies,
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right, Michael. It's like, it's one of those places where you realize that there's obviously something that they are afraid of that is in this film, because wonder if someone watches it and changes their mind. Wonder if someone sees this and they find the courage, they find the hope to be able to say, maybe I've done something to myself that I thought was going to be reversible. Maybe I've done something to myself that, is not okay. And I've not known how to come out of this. And now I feel like I'm able to.
Or maybe I was trying to do something to make myself happy, and I've realized that happiness isn't that.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, one of the things that I will say that I just have to commend is, there are people that have been a part of the LGBT community, and mind you, they may be a part of that community in name. They're not really attached to them any longer. But we've been absolutely amazed, you guys, at how many people within the LGBT community that have been speaking out against what is going on, particularly between the LGBT community and Christians. When it comes to the trans movement, I've been shocked. I have been, and mind you, they receive some of the most vile hate that I think I've ever seen from the LGBT community, because they're speaking out about what's going on. They're speaking out about how there's no boundaries within the LGBT community. As one person stated, there's no policing of themselves at all. They're not allowed to be scrutinized. There's literally been people from the LGBT community that have stated that they firmly believe that there are people that are going after Christians on purpose. I mean, the people that have been willing to take that stance, to have been a part of this community and be able to step out and say, this is wrong, is huge. I mean, you've got entire parts of this community that are coming out and saying, they're saying, save the tomboys, thing that they're doing now. I mean, it's been amazing to watch those individuals take that step out and say, this is wrong. I don't want to be affiliated with this anymore. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And yes, we've received some pushback from people that have said, well, are you saying that, that you support, gay people and their lifestyle, even if they're speaking against these other things? No, we don't have to be in agreement about everything to be able to find those 1, 2, 3 things and come together and fight something together. I firmly
God love you. God bless you for saying that. Just say it one more time, just for the people in the back seats. Because I'm pretty sure Jesus wasn't like, I'm pretty sure that this whole "you have to believe exactly like I do" thing did not come from Jesus. I'm pretty sure.
Right. I just think that if we didn't,
my goodness, think of who he dealt with. I mean, he went right to the people that needed help, and that whole game. If you're going to play that game, you can't be where you really need to be, where you can really help the people that need a little come to Jesus, because you're too busy, doing all that nonsense. So thank you for that. I so appreciate that so much. Another reason why I love you.
Yeah. Well, through your research, like in this show and just being around a lot of this community, I mean, are you seeing that the people that kind of maybe think they made a bad decision or want to detransition, is that more like, did they transition way too early? Were they more kids? Did they, or was it, what, is there a connection there? Like with the earlier presence of that happening and then they regret it, maybe 10 or 15 years later?
It's been interesting because we've kind of seen, I'd say, like a whole mixture.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we ended up, for instance, 2 of our detransitioners, one of them, was getting involved in this, like I said, as far back as 2008, 2009.
Oh, wow.
When it still had other terms and other names. I think that it was probably like around maybe like high school or after high school, somewhere when she started to actually make the transition, but it was still pretty far back. versus the other detransitioner that this started a little bit younger for her. So I think the pathways for each individual, it's like they're kind of all the same, but different. It's like all of the factors of how they came to the conclusion that I'm trans. You can see a lot of the bullet points, a lot of the check marks are all the same, but their journey getting there looked a little bit different. Some of them were different ages. I have to say that I think over the last 5 years, you have seen younger children that have been getting into this lifestyle. But I think that goes back to some of the politicizing of it and the weaponizing of it against children. Whereas maybe back in our day, it was like, okay, well, being a tomboy was a perfectly normal thing for a girl. I grew up with 2 of my sisters were huge tomboys, and yet now it's like words mean different things now. Now definitions have been manipulated. You have parents that are being manipulated as well, by the way. They're being told.
Or parents manipulating their children, which is even grosser.
Exactly. So it's kind of interesting because I feel like that what we've seen in the past decade, I feel like you have seen younger children that have been getting involved in this. But I'd say before that decade, not so much. You saw people getting into this more as adults. There's people that we like Walter Heyer. I mean, these different people, they transition, some of them very late in their life. And yet now it's like this explosion of children. You didn't really see this a lot, back in the day, when it came to younger people. But now it's like everywhere. And I think
we've had TSS Smith on before, and probably will have her on again. And she makes the point, just like a lot of research that's actually going into this now to show that social media is really where all of this stuff comes from. And it's just a social contagion created by, and I've even had a kid tell me, well, they feel like they need to do it because that makes them fit in better. They feel like they need to say that because it makes them fit in better.
Yes.
How horrible.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question. Having seen the film, most of the film myself, I don't want I don't want to let the cat out of the bag or say anything because I want people to see the film. But do you feel like there's a big spiritual component at work here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that one of the issues that this is just my own personal belief. And by the way, man, T.S. Smith, she was actually very instrumental in this film as well. She might have not been actually in it, but she was very instrumental. We were actually going to have her website linked on our website for the movie to help parents get support, to help just everyday Oklahomans know what's going on in our state, how Oklahoma is complicit in trans ideology, all throughout mental health, all throughout everything that you can put your hands on. But yes, I firmly believe that there is a spiritual component. I believe that there has been such a target, particularly towards this young generation. I believe that there's such a battle over their minds and really over their identities. I mean, you're seeing an entire generation where their identities are just being wiped out completely.
Well, because Satan is the father of lies.
Exactly. I mean, you're seeing the mental health component in all of this. You have children that are just being inundated with, like you said, all of the different factors. One question that came up at the showing in Muskogee, it was a really good question. One man said, well, I don't understand, like, why are we seeing this so much now, versus maybe 25 years ago? And you guys hit on it when you were talking about the technology part. You have children that have access to the internet. You have children that have access to all kinds of things that children should not be able to see. And I believe that it has helped to produce a reality that is not real, not only for children. Not only that, but you have children that are now involved in sexual subjects and conversations that they cannot they cannot understand.
Nope.
And yet it's being put right in front of them. We shared this at that viewing. I forgot the exact percentage, but I've been children as young as 9 years old have accessed, pornography on a device. And so I think that it's very much a spiritual battle. I think that we tell our children this all the time, because all of our children, they're all in the age group that this is hitting children. Our daughter's almost 13, our son is 12, and our daughter will be 11. And they're in that demographic. And so we tell our children whenever they want to get upset about parental controls and these different things, and they'll say, I don't understand why you're doing this. And we always tell them, it's not you we don't trust. It is the enemy of your soul that we do not trust. 1,000%.
Point.
Yeah, because he's here to set us all up in some form or fashion. And many of these people who have detransitioned, many of these people that have come out of the LGBT community, what's been amazing is that they've been able to look over their lives and they've been able to see every single moment that they were being set up, that set them up. It was like the perfect storm. The trauma, the fallout of mother and daughter relationships, the fallout of father relationships. I mean, it's a whole culmination that brings them to this moment to where they believe that allowing their bodies to be mutilated and for them to be sterilized is what's going to lead them to fulfillment. And it's not that. And we want viewers to imagine what it's like, of getting to this moment where you have believed that you could become the opposite sex, and then you have this realization that it's never going to happen. But you also have to face now your past of, how do I go back to that? That is one of the darkest places I think I've ever peered into. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's the other reason why I'm so, after seeing the movie, why I was so mad about the whole movie theater. This was such an eye-opening. I mean, I don't know how many times I cried.
Yeah.
I mean, because I cried a number of times. I mean, and I think people need to see it, because I don't think they understand how sad this is and how just torturous this is for people. People need to understand, you put your identity in something outside your real identity, or you put your identity in being something and that thing is taken away. That's a huge, not just an emotional hit. That's a hit to your very soul.
Yes.
The part of the thing that makes you who you are.
Yes. And it's like, there comes this moment where it's like, all of it's gone. All of it's erased. And so we hear a lot from the trans community that, well, the reason why the suicide rate is so high inside of the trans community is because they're not being accepted. And I'm telling people right now, it is high because they hit that moment of realization. They hit that moment of realization where they realize, I have made a terrible mistake. But when they hit that, it plunges them into such a dark place. And I would like to also state that this is not a situation where they're even experiencing support or help oftentimes, because the very community that was kind of helping them to, champion them on, the entire time that they were transitioning, the minute that they hit the realization and they begin to spiral out of control because they were like, what have I done to myself? That community is completely gone. That community completely abandons them, but they haven't made the step yet to be able to face the fact that now they have to go back to their family. Now they have to go back to friends. Now they have to go back to the very people that they said, leave me alone. This is who I am. You're going to agree with it. So then you have, I can't go back to the trans community because I've been shunned there, but I can't go to my family and I can't go to my friends because I feel so much shame about what I've done. And so it's that moment of isolation that many of them do commit suicide.
Well, because you're just set out in a lifeboat in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. And you're trying to grapple with who am I? How do I get back to where I was? And they don't come out. Many of them don't come out, unscathed. They come out with plenty of scars, plenty of, woundedness that they have to now deal with. I mean, the detransitioners that we sat down with, they were, oh my gosh, they're miracles. They're walking miracles. I mean, they were incredibly blessed to come into this the way that they did. But had they not had faith, I really don't think that they would have made it, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, absolutely.
I think that was what was so powerful about it to me. And I think that's part of the reason why they hate this so much. I mean, Jesus is the spirit of light and goodness and redemption and all of these things. And that really, the devil can't stand any of that.
Yeah.
And, I constantly say to people who don't understand the idea of the concept of spiritual battle, I think that's probably one of the things that we need to hit on. It's another one of those topics like you guys and Michael and I were talking about earlier. People have got to know we have to be able to tell them these things, whether they accept them or not. That's not our problem, but we have to be able to talk about it and at least get it out there for people to be able to accept or not.
Yes.
But when nobody's talking about this, then how does it get fixed? How does anybody even have the opportunity to at least make that leap? So I just, that's another thing I think is so phenomenal about you guys and about why I will just be one of your biggest supporters until I die kind of a people, because you come from things from that spiritual level and that's all truth. I mean, when you come at everything from a spiritual level, it's all in truth. I mean,
absolutely.
And that's what we have to be able to tell. We have to be able to tell the truth. And so I just will never be able to be quiet about how great I think you guys are and what you do. And how can we see this movie?
Well, the movie comes out on the 15th of July. And so that's like next week. So
now where is it going to come out?
Yeah, you can. This is right now we're showing it around the state. And so tonight we're going to be playing it at the Remnant Church of God in Moore. And then we're going to be in Tulsa at the Sheridan Church. So you go into our website, Trans.Oklahomamovie.com, and you go look at screenings. We have probably 3 more screenings in Tulsa. We have this one in Moore. We have a screening.
We have one in Yukon on Saturday morning with OK2A and Moms for Liberty.
Yeah. So you'll be able to watch that. Then we have a couple of extra other screenings that are going to be coming up after the movie comes out. But the movie comes out on the 15th.
Yes. And we want people to know as well that, because we get this question quite a bit. We've had quite a number of people that have reached out to us from out of state that have asked about, can we do a showing, even if it's already out? And the same thing for people in Oklahoma. We want them to know that although it's going to be released in digital form online next week, if people want to host a showing, they still can. We get that some people may want to make this into like an event. They may want to do Q&A. They may want to, watch it together. We realize that some people may want to do that, and they will be free to do that as well. People did the exact same thing with Saving Clayton. Although it had been released, people still had, showings for it. They wanted to talk about it. They wanted to talk about how they could get involved with it. So what we're hoping to be able to put together is something to where we can have all of our participants present and just do Q&As and let people be able to connect with the participants and their stories. Talk to the parents in question, talk to the detransitioners in question. Dr. Randy Randleman, who was a part of this film, he will also be present at some of those showings as well in the Tulsa area. So yeah,
Yeah. So also something else too. It'll be out on the 15th, and I think we're going to be charging like $5 to watch it. And once we meet our funding goal of, I think it's I have to put it on the website, but there's a funding goal we want to reach, and once we reach the funding goal, we'll put it out for free. But we have to be able to pay for this. I know and a lot of times documentarians get a little bit of pushback on charging, and the thing is, like, none of this is free. These documentaries won't exist if we can't get at least money back. We're not like money bags over here making profits. There will be no profit made. We got to get some of the money back so we can pay for more future projects.
But however, one of the things though that I do want to say as well though is that we had donations that was given to this film, just like Saving Clayton, that would not be, we would not be able to do this. Jenny, as you know, and yes, I'm going to publicly state that Jenny was a enormous contributor to this film, and her support of what we were doing. And if it had not been for Jenny, for people like you, had not been for people that had contributed to what we were doing, we would not be able to do this. And so we really do appreciate everyone. We had a few other people that also contributed to the film as well. And it's incredibly helpful and helps us to be able to continue to tell these stories that are affecting Oklahomans. So we really do appreciate that from all of the people that donated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I will say it again. I want people to donate because it makes me really, because they do the same thing with Michael and me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like people will watch. We've got a huge audience on this morning. Everybody's watching. Everybody will share this, but people don't ever think. I mean, I guess they think that Michael and you guys are made of money. Everybody's just made of money.
This is your time.
And this is it. We're just doing it as a gift to society. And in one way, all of us are.
Yes.
But on the other way, we can't do it as a gift to society if somebody doesn't help us be able to do that.
Very true.
So I get so frustrated when I see people, and Michael and I talk about this, quite a bit. I get so frustrated when I see people online going, oh, well, we're going to invite somebody from out of state here, and we're going to pump them up, and we're going to give them a bunch of money. I'm like, what about your own state?
Who
do you?
We have some amazing voices here in our state.
Yeah, we have some amazing voices.
You guys, like you guys on here faithfully every single week, you're giving your time, you're giving your energy. You are talking about things that a lot of people are not talking about in Oklahoma. Hitting those more controversial subjects on here every single week. And I think it's those types of voices that need to be elevated in our state. Absolutely. Because we're Oklahomans.
Well, and the media isn't doing it. I just got a text message from my sister. This will crack you up hearing what I said at the beginning. So my sister just texted my dad and I and my sister have a text group, and she said, she sends this CNN politics, former Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, a climate change denier.
I saw that one, and I was
she says,
couldn't help themselves.
She says, wow, just when you think the liberal media can't stoop any lower, and NBC similar quote about him, nothing good, just that he denied climate change was man-made.
They couldn't help it. They had to throw that in there. Yeah.
But it's ridiculous, but you got to think about, I mean, that's part of the reason why we do what we do. That's the reason why you do what you do, because all of this media is infected with BS.
Yes.
And the only way that we're going to be able to help anybody anywhere is by cutting through the BS and saying what we have to say.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is to do it in the formats we're doing, but we can't do it without help, monetary help.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there's a donate button on your website, and people need to do that. And if I hear one person complain about the fact that you're charging for this, I'm just warning you people. I hear that, I will come find you. Just saying. Side eye.
We believe you, Jenny.
You better. Okay, so is there any, I mean, this has been kind of not just a labor of love, obviously, and in a way to get this information out, but this is, it's taken a lot out of you guys to do this. Do you have anything on the horizon yet? Or are you just kind of trying to go, let's just get this done?
It feels good to complete a project. It does. Especially when, and I have to say this particular one, we just really watched God just move throughout the entire process. There was lots of tears. There was lots of I mean, we don't do documentaries a lot like maybe some people do, where it's just kind of blow in, get the story, blow out, and it can be very cold and very impersonal. And that's not really how we do things. We try to walk alongside those who participated in these stories, because a lot of them are still going through very difficult things. They're still healing. And so we have formed relationships with all of our detransitioners and formed relationships with the parents, and we pray for them. We find out how they're doing. We find out about how their children are doing. And so although the film has come to an end, we kind of feel like it's like a journey kind of just gets started. It was the exact same thing with Saving Clayton. The walking alongside their family continues. Awareness continues. All of that keeps going. And so it's the same process here. However, I mean, we do have a couple of things that we are thinking about in the horizon. I cannot tell you after Saving Clayton, and this is not, I hope this is not seen as a bad comment, but I cannot tell you how many times that everywhere that we go, it's now like, I have this story, please tell it. Everywhere that we go in Oklahoma. Like we're very overwhelmed with it. And we can't, unfortunately, do that,
it's
just, for everyone.
There's too much. It costs too much.
Yeah.
Each one of these stories, even a small one's going to be $5,000, $10,000. You know, it's just, if
it's very difficult to do it right.
We could tell all these stories if, you know, if we had unlimited money, we could tell all these stories, and we'd love to, but there's just a bandwidth between, you know, amount of work we can do as human beings.
We hope to grow. We hope to grow though over the next few years. You know, we hope that we can build something where we can bring on, you know, editors, we can bring on, you know, people to be able to help us because if we have that help, we can you can put out more. So that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that, you know, we're going to have, and we believe that we have some good tools to do that and to begin to build something that's a little bit more, I would say, on the scale of what Oklahoma needs to be able to tell those stories. There's a lot of people that are really pushing for something to be done about DHS and really sending a very strong message to DHS on behalf of Oklahoma. So there's several different directions that we're looking into at this point. So I guess you guys will be the first to know.
Well, I forgot to you guys do need to mention this, and I forgot about it until just now. You have now finally formed your nonprofit?
Well, it's still formed as a business. Like Red River Creative Media is still working as a business.
Okay.
Now we do have, I call it the business side, you know, of when we do services for people, but we also, this part of it is something that the documentaries and this type of work, we really though depend mainly on, you know, donations for it, just because we end up funding a lot of it ourselves. So we're kind of looking into that and how it needs to be structured. Right now, we're keeping it all under one umbrella for now, and then we'll see what happens as we move forward. So.
Well, but that brings up another thing, though. You do not just do documentaries. You are Red River Media. Tell people what else you do. Let's do an advertisement for you.
Well, we do redrivercreativemedia.com is our website. And what we do is essentially just perform media needs for people across the state. We do everything from, you know, political ads for candidates who may be, you know, running for smaller offices. We've actually done political ads for people that are running for congressional, you know, seats, a few people that have ran for, you know, state seats. We do everything from, you know, voiceover work to forming, you know, we'll get your podcast going for you. Some people that just don't have knowledge maybe of how to work something in media. I do social media management as well. So it's really kind of what people are
and commercials for businesses,
yes.
just run-of-the-mill commercials.
Yes.
And also movies, if you have a movie you're trying to do.
Yeah, some people have asked us, you know, like, hey, I have a documentary idea and it has like nothing to do with,
not even documentary, just
well, it just doesn't have anything to do with us.
Movies, period. Like a movie. You have a movie script, and you want to do a movie, we can do movies too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, it all depends on what you want to do.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I think it's important to get that out there because it's also, I mean, there may be people out there who, you know, could use any of these services. And certainly, you know, we always recommend for all your media needs, for all your media needs, we like Red River Media.
Yes.
But yes, absolutely, for sure. All right. Well, anything else before we wind up here?
I don't think so. Thank you guys for allowing us just to talk about this today and, you know, kind of go a little bit more in depth about it. We so appreciate you, Michael. We appreciate you, Jenny. Thank you so much for allowing people to come on here and talk about what they're doing here in Oklahoma. We really appreciate it.
We don't allow, we beg, don't we, Mary?
And I want to just say, you know, congratulations to you guys, but also thank you, because this is probably one of the most important subjects done in a medium that is so impactful.
Yes.
And I mean, you can literally just change lives in a matter of, you know, an hour and a half.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. We're excited. We hope that that's exactly what it's going to do, not only for parents and for people who are citizens here in Oklahoma, but for people who are on that fence right now between transitioning and detransitioning. We hope that it sends a message.
Can't wait to see it on Saturday. You're over the target with this. Wear it proudly. Blessings to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you honestly, I mean, we do love you. So, and it's not just me and Michael. Lots of us love you. So,
yes,
and pray for you.
We appreciate that.
Pray for you and love you.
We definitely need it.
Well, my friends, thank you for being with us, and hopefully I can sneak away and be there on Saturday, because I'd like to be able to be there. So hopefully I can sneak away. It's what I told you before. You have a farm, and it's a hobby farm. Then when the husband's home, you're hobby farming it on the weekend. So, and you're doing that in the morning before it becomes 145.
Yes.
All right. Well, guys, love you. And we will talk to you again soon. And thank you so much for being with us as always.
Thanks, Jenny. See you guys later.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh. I love those two.
Yeah.
They're just the best.
Yeah. You know, it's sad that there's so much emphasis put on that initial side of transitioning, you know, the whole LGBTQ phenomenon, you know, all that. But if you have anything of dissent, even like the library books, parents would like some of the detransitioning library books to be put into the schools. Well, schools sure aren't going to have that. They're going to have all the transitioning books that you can imagine, but they sure won't have the other way. And then you've got all this media, all this social media, all this impactful on these kids, but you got to cancel someone doing an actual documentary about transitioning. I mean, if that doesn't just tell you, you know, what this world is. I mean, and I think you kind of said it, you know, I think in general, and we've talked about it many times, you know, this used to be the most moral country in the world. We always were, you know, we're not like that anymore, but there's such a, you know, when you have that hole in your heart because you're from a young age, all you've seen is the physical. You worship the physical, and you think that this physical transition solution is going to work for that hole in your heart spiritually. You know, and that's what I try to tell my kids all the time. You know, as a father, the way to really hurt a father is to hurt their kids. You know, and if evil can hurt humans who are made by the Father, I mean, that's what's going to happen. And that's what we're seeing, like, just in droves right now.
Everybody has a God-shaped hole. I don't care if you believe it or you don't. You cannot believe it. I can't make you believe it, but that doesn't mean you don't have one.
Yeah.
So, and it's obvious. And I do think that is one of the reasons why they hate this film so hard. I mean, people know that when they're not doing right. I mean, people know that's your God-shaped hole talking to you, and all we can do is pray for these people, and that's all we can do.
I haven't seen the show yet. I'll do it right when we can stream it. But was there kind of like an overarching theme of people finding some type of spirituality to bring them over in the transition?
Well, I like I said, I hate to let he hasn't put it out. They haven't put it out yet, but I will say that, you come away from that film, if you didn't have the belief that there was something else out there, it's hard not to get that when you're done with that movie.
Yeah. Well, I know you kind of picked that up in the trailer with the girl. I mean, she really seems to talk about her spirituality, is helping her choose the right path.
There's a voice.
Yeah.
There's a voice, but you gotta tune into the voice. It's like finding a radio station, I mean, you have to tune in. And then when you find the radio station, you actually have to listen. That's the other component. So you can't deny it. You can't be a denier, anyway. So, just a wonderful film, wonderful couple. I'm always so glad when they can come on, because they're just, they're a couple of people who are going to make the world better.
Yeah.
And, when they will leave it a better place. And that's what we need right now are those people. We need them. So
100%.
All right. Well, we do have a replay coming up on Friday. And our replay on Friday is going to be, remember when we had Matt Failing on? He's the attorney, the ethics attorney. He teaches others attorneys ethics. So I'm going to replay that.
Tough job there, Jenny. That's a pretty tough job.
I know. We had such a great time with him. We talked for him for 2 hours. Remember? It's like he just always had great stuff to say. It's now so we divided it up into 2 1-hour segments. And I'm going to play the one on Friday. That is the part where he talks about propaganda. Remember when he talked about that and ethics and morals and all 3 of those things together. So I'm going to replay that on Friday. So if you haven't seen that, everybody who's watching, make sure you tune in on Friday, because it's a great one and you want to go back and see it. And then we are going to have our friend V1SUT on next week on Wednesday. And then beyond that, the next Wednesday, we're going to have our friend Sherry Conley on. And then on the 31st, we're going to have we're going to have to record Glenn Mulready, unfortunately, but we're going to have Glenn Mulready, our insurance commissioner, on with Caleb Blount, who's also in insurance. And we're going to talk about what's going on in insurance in Oklahoma, because I think people are starting to realize that there's something funky going on. And let's get right to the bottom of that and see what's going on. So that's what's coming up for the rest of the month. Don't forget, we only have a couple of Wednesday broadcasts left in August, and then we're back. We're back to the grind, Michael. Wednesday and Friday live.
Last week.
Wednesday and Friday live. I don't know. Well, hopefully we can get back into that.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of news to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, like we don't have now. Oh, and let me just mention something really quickly. So if you have not, let me see if I can find this. And let me share my screen with you here. So this is the Give Send Go website that I have for the election board lawsuit court costs. And I just want to point out something, because I've had people say your lawsuit. And I get that. I mean, my name is on the lawsuit. I get that. but this isn't about me. I mean, if you think I'm going to get money out of this, I would think you're probably sorely mistaken. I was a volunteer. This is about doing what's right. And if you can't donate to the website or you can't donate, it's fine. It's not about the money in any way, shape, or form. But if you'll notice, it will say share. It says give, share, and pray on it. Go and say a prayer for it. Do whatever you can, share it with other people, whatever you can do. Just let's make sure that people can see this and say, hey, this is an important thing. We are worried about the administrative state in Oklahoma, and we kind of want to get to the bottom of that. And that's what this is all about. So if you can, please go there. It is GiveSendGo /follow OK election law is where you're going to find that. And so just thank you for your consideration on that. Anything you've got going on, Michael?
That's it.
All right.
Not too much.
No exciting plans for weekend?
No. It's a lot of work.
You do too?
Yeah. See, you have a hobby farm. I've got 5 kids that are like a farm. So
you do. Working. I forget what it's like to have all my kids at home. Mine are starting to scatter to the wind, which is sad. I miss them very much. But yeah, I forget what it's like to do that.
Yeah. Well, but real quick, congratulations, my oldest son. He is going to go to UCO and play golf on the golf team.
Yay! That's awesome. Yeah. So he got a golf scholarship.
So he's going.
Nice. That's so awesome. And that is an apple right from the tree, isn't it, my friend Mike?
Yeah, actually it is. I didn't have much to do with that. He did it on his own. I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, we're a golf pro. I'm pretty sure you helped along the way.
Well, I helped him a little bit, but it's still like anything. It's got to be their decision, their time. They've got to want to do it. I can't make them go practice.
That's right. No, you're 100% right. That's what happened with me in piano.
Hey, there you go.
Mom always wanted it. Jenny never wanted to do it. So, all right. Well, thank you again for joining us. We had a great audience today. Really appreciate all of you. Please, if you found something that you like here, go to our Patreon account. We do have a Patreon account set up. It is Reclaim Oklahoma Parent Empowerment. It's super easy to find. Just go to Patreon and type in Reclaim Oklahoma Parent Empowerment. You can also donate from our website, which is even easier to find. It's right there on our tags, rope2.org. There's also a link in the alley on the front page of our website to the election board, Give, Send, Go. So you can find it there too, if you'd like to, rope2.org. So thank you all for being with us. Pray every day. Just pray every day. And we thank you for being with us. Bye.